From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. I am Ben Hall. Good show tonight. We are talking with elder law attorney Tim Takis. And of course, he's come on before and always has a wealth of information. What we'll be talking about tonight is basically how can you financially make sure that perhaps a loved one is taken care of, or you yourself if you're getting up in age. But happy to have with us Tim Takis. Tim, thank you for being here once again.
Glad to be back.
And I always like to start with, what have you seen in your office lately? What's kind of today?
Couple things that, couple things that we've been seeing is we've been seeing some people, younger people who are special, what we would call special needs. People who are under 65, who are disabled or incapacitated, can't work, and they don't have any money, or they have very little money, and they're going, how do I get benefits? Or maybe I have a little bit too much in money, so how do I qualify for TennCare? And some even are qualifying for supplemental security income, SSI. So literally in the last couple of weeks, we've had two people came in. One of them came in this afternoon, signed her trust. Another one came in yesterday. Actually, he's 25. His father brought him in. And he's saying, I'm going off of his parents' insurance next year, and he's trying to figure out how he can qualify for SSI and TennCare. So, it's very interesting, the kind of work that we do. It doesn't ever, sometimes we say, yeah, we do elder law, but in this case, the lady came in, she's 60, and she doesn't think she's elder. And then the 25-year-old, he certainly doesn't think he's elder. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that we see.
And one of the things we talk about when you come on is the whole idea of how expensive nursing homes are.
Right.
And how do we plan for that?
Right.
And the thing people always get concerned about is, will the nursing home come back and take my home? And you always say some things about that. But this is one of those areas that concerns people.
Right, exactly.
How in the world am I going to pay for that care and maybe leave something for my kids, or pay for it, period?
Right. And like yesterday, for instance, we had a family that came in, and I think daddy, husband is 79 and wife is 75, and it was a subsequent marriage for both of them. They got married 6 years ago, and the husband developed dementia, Alzheimer's disease about 2 or 3 years ago, and then when you get into those situations, you got children over here, you got children over there, you got families that are going, well, how do I take care of daddy? The wife, the third wife says, I don't think I really signed up for this. When we flew out to Las Vegas 6 years ago and got married, I didn't think this was ever going to happen. And so you get those kind of things as well. And then, as you said, the whole different things comes up because, the husband's got, a house, where he and his wife are living in, and he's got like maybe $50,000 of money in the bank, and now it's suddenly, well, how long is that $50,000 going to last, if he winds up needing nursing home care?
And we talk about the cost, $8,000 a month,
$7,000, $8,000 a month.
So it's not
who's going to pay for that? And the wife who is going, I love my husband, but I had to explain to her, your assets, just because you've been, just because you've only been married for 6 years, just because you have a prenuptial agreement doesn't shelter your assets, from having to use your assets to pay for your husband's nursing home care, your second husband's nursing home care. Is literally the way that works. And so a lot of people have misconceptions about that. And that's the kind of thing when this family came in to see me. You got the husband, you got the wife comes in, both sets of families are there, husband's at home because he can't, he's got Alzheimer's disease, and they're going, now what do we do? Do you get a divorce? Because she's going, I can't afford to spend $7,000, $8,000 a month. And the husband's got $50,000 over there in the house, and she has a house that she brought into the marriage, and I have to explain to her, well, when you're married, you can only have one house.
Okay.
The only one house is protected, so which one are you going to protect? And she's going, I think I'd kind of like to protect one of mine, and then his family's going, well, why don't we protect Daddy's house? So you can see how these kind of things, you know, all the it's not just legal issues that come up into play, but also family issues.
And when we start talking about paying for nursing home care, what is the issue with your house? How is it that people think, okay, the nursing home is going to come take my house?
Yeah. Common misconception about that.
And
right.
how do we protect against that? Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people question.
We have a lot of questions about that. A lot of people, you know, particularly when we see this a lot, like in more rural areas of the state, you know, where, you know, maybe people have had a century farm. You know, maybe they've had the what I guess that they're called century farms, meaning they've been in the family for more than 100 years. You know, they're going, okay, daddy's not doing well, he goes into the nursing home. You know, do we have to give the house to the nursing home? Well, the answer there is no. But at the same time, if daddy's in the nursing home and on Medicaid at the time of his death, then the state has a right to come in after his death and recoup, you know, what they paid out for him. You know, and where does that money come from? It comes from the farm.
Right.
You
so
know,
they would force the sale of the farm?
So that literally the state will force the sale of it.
Wow.
I mean, Ben, several years ago I had a case where it was actually written up in the Wall Street Journal because back in, I guess, probably about 10 years ago, there was a big deal, you know, in this country about millionaires getting on Medicaid and whatever, you know, and so the reporter from the Wall Street Journal called me and said, well, I'm writing a story about the other side, you know, of the story about that. And I explained to her that I just had a client who, actually, she had come to see me after her mother had died, you know, and her mother had been in the nursing home for 2.5 years, you know, and she came to me and said, well, the state has filed a claim against, you know, filed probate claim against my mother's house. You know, and Mom, you know, the house was worth $60,000 in, I think it was in White County. Mm-hmm. And she's going, now what do I do? You know, and so there wasn't really, in the end, there really wasn't much that we could do because, you know, by that time there was really, that's called postmortem planning, which you can't do much of. You know, Mom had died in the nursing home and on Medicaid for 2.5 years. You know, the bill was over $130,000, and the house, they literally, and this is what was, you know, written about in the story in the Wall Street Journal is that, you know, there was an auction, you know, through the probate court, and the daughter had to buy her mother's quilts, you know, at the auction.
Yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
You know,
so that's the worst
That's the other side of estate recovery. It's not the people who have $600,000, $500,000, or $600,000 houses. You know, it's the people in, you know, who have, you know, modest homes, maybe less than modest homes, $60,000, $70,000, and that's all they have. You know, and in this case, the state, you know, the house was sold, you know, and the lady had to buy her mother's quilts. You know, and the state still didn't get all of what they paid out, but they can't get any more than what was, you know, what was in the estate. So, generally
speaking, how prepared do you think people are? I mean, you obviously, people that come to your office, they're doing the right thing. Right. Because I ask, okay, what's the biggest mistake people make? It's not prepared.
It's not thinking ahead, right.
Generally speaking, the populace, how prepared do you think?
Not really prepared. See, what they hear, and it's good that we're able to do this because people hear, I can tell you horror stories, and I don't like to talk about too much because, then the question is, well, okay, so what should I do? Should I give everything away? You know, and the answer is, well, yeah, you can. You know, but for one is if you give money or property away, it means you can't get Medicaid for 5 years. That's the 5-year look back. And, you know, if you give money or property away, okay, now the nursing home doesn't have it, but you don't have it either.
Right.
You know, who are you going to give it to? You're going to give it to your children? Well, children have issues too. Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes and often the children may hold it for mom or dad, but sometimes they're not able to because bad things happen to them.
So we want to encourage people to call in. Yeah. Call in with whatever question you may have, a story, a situation you may be encountering. There's a number 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.